This is a very, very timely piece, and I think everyone should have access to this medicine and to this information.
So Ricki and I have been making films together for like our first film came out 10 years ago, The Business of Being Born. When we started making Weed the People, like neither of us were cannabis activists. Neither of us had any real experience with cannabis.
We weren't even real cannabis users. I mean, minimally. I mean, I'm definitely not anti-using, but it's just it wasn't my medicine necessarily. So each of the films that we've made come, I think, from personal experience first and foremost. So for me, I had my husband at the time, my beloved Christian Evans, who passed away last year. He discovered CBD and cannabis for his own healing, and also for his grandfather who was dying of terminal cancer, and then also for this little girl that we met through social media of all places, Twitter. This little girl who is a fan of mine from Dancing with the Stars had a different disease called NF1, which causes tumors to grow on your nerve endings, and she was being treated with chemotherapy. And very predictably, my husband and I moved this little girl into our home for 6 weeks and went on this plight to find alternative medications for her to help her with her disease. And so I was telling Abby, because we're friends and we work together, I was like, can you believe we're moving this family into our house and we're flying her up to Mendocino to meet a cannabis doctor? Can you believe I'm doing this? And she's like, that's our next movie. I think we need to document this. And so we started doing it. And again, that family is not in the film, but that was the birth of Weed the People. They all sort of fell into our lap. I mean, with Sophie, I think Sophie was the first baby after the little girl that we had worked with initially. And she came to us through Facebook, right? And it turns out her mom, Tracy, was a fan of our first movie, The Business of Being Born, and came to one of our events while she was pregnant with Sophie. So it's so crazy that the connections, looking back on it now that yesterday was the world premiere. Many of the subjects were there at the screening. None of them had seen the film at all. So it was so interesting to be like cut to 5-6 years later, we're all kind of here. The fact that they trusted us, I think every character in the film is equally compelling. Chico and their stories, AJ, and even the one little boy, AJ, that passed away. I mean, his story is so important. They lived in an illegal state. It was that much harder for them to get access to this medicine, whether that contributed to his him dying earlier than maybe otherwise. I mean, we don't know, but I think all of these characters, all of these stories are equally important and vital to this film.
The takeaway is that, this really is a human rights issue. Once that door is opened and once you see the truth and once you see the science and once you understand that this potentially could save lives, then it really becomes so hard to swallow that this medicine is not accessible to everyone, is incredibly expensive, is not covered by insurance, is federally illegal. It becomes a human rights violation. It really does. It just becomes, and that's really, in the beginning, I was kind of like, oh my God, like this is like Breaking Bad. These parents are like driving around and like buying medicine from people's kitchens and this is terrible. I mean, what a horrible way to have a sick child and, be trying to heal them in this kind of underground way. I could say for sure from our screening yesterday that the audience was not expecting what they saw. They really were kind of blown away by what they learned, and I think of sort of the full impact that I think this film could have. I think could be like the inconvenient truth of cannabis, for many people.